before we got on, Madia, Jen and I were talking about what our class songs were. So we wanted to know what yours was.
My class song.
Yeah,
Yeah,
do you
we
remember
like,
that from senior
yeah,
year of high
like when you
school?
graduated high school.
Gosh, I don't know that we had one. I kind of had a weird senior year though, because I actually moved my senior year of high school. My family moved. And so I don't know. I wasn't really connected with my new school very much. I was just kind of trying to get through. So if they had a song,
Yeah.
I don't know what
That
it
is a
was.
brutal year
Well,
to
all
have a
right.
move.
If you could pick one, pick one.
I know.
Oh gosh. Uh, well, I'll tell you what, the thing that comes to my mind right off the top of my head is what is it? Time of Your Life, Time of My Life. But is it Green Day? I'm terrible at these things. I should know.
Oh yeah,
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
That one.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
Yep.
That's the Friends song.
Oh, it is.
Oh yeah.
I never even thought of that.
And I didn't watch Friends, so look at me.
What?
Yeah.
How could you not? So you don't even know the references? Do you know the cultural references
It
like
was
smelly
ridiculous to me.
cat,
I was
smelly
like,
cat? What are they
look
feeding
at these
you?
lofts that they live in New York City, and like, where's all
They
this
can't
money
afford
coming
that.
from? Yeah, no, yeah, it was ridiculous.
Oh my God, you're such a realist. But I love that you can dip into other things that are very woo, but all of a sudden, Friends being in a loft that they couldn't
Yeah,
afford is the thing that gets you.
well, Friends was way too over the line for me. Okay, and yeah, and you know what, and God bless her, but I don't understand Lisa Kudrow. Although I do like Romeo and Michelle, so there you go.
Oh, isn't that a great movie? That's a happy movie.
That was a great movie. And I'm
Mhm.
right there with you, Jesse. I actually never really watched Friends. I
Right?
saw a few episodes, but I wasn't.
I did it in college. It was like one of the things that we watched in college. The other one that we would try to find a TV for is so in Seattle, we had, everybody knows Saturday Night Live, the big show. But before
Right.
that, Seattle had a local one called Almost Live. And it was so good because they were like these crazy stand-up comedians in the Seattle area, and we knew all the places, and grunge was just coming on the scene, though we were always out at the clubs and everything. And so it was just like we felt like that was our favorite thing to watch, Almost Live. I wonder if that's on YouTube now, Almost Live.
I bet. I mean, we had to watch Melrose Place before we went out to the club on Thursday. That was our thing. We all got together and watched Melrose Place. Because we just wanted to watch like ridiculous, like, and everybody be catty at each other. Yeah. So yeah, that was it. That was our thing.
So this week, wait, we have to do this official. We have Madia here, magical Madia. And all I know is that we're going to talk about birds and bird magic and maybe what birds, like seeing them, can tell us. And I've been making a list. I did some homework, Madia, of like the birds I've seen in the last 24 hours.
Oh boy.
Yeah, right. Just to kind of get, just get a vibe going. And Jesse, did you do your homework?
Allow me to
I flipped the bird last night too.
All right. This is Madia says subconscious healing through tapping, chant, and bird medicine. Jen, are you ready for that?
Okay. Tapping is a whole nother level of magic. I cannot believe that because I have goosebumps all over my arms. It was a place where I found serenity after my dad died, was tapping. It took me out of the monkey mind and into something deeper that wasn't so on the surface, hurting. So birds, you have to go in the background for a little bit.
I don't have any goosebumps because I don't know what tapping is. And I've already talked to Madia like twice. So, I mean,
let's start with that then.
Don't know the term. So she needs to crack an egg of knowledge on our asses right now about tapping.
Yeah. So tapping is just its most simple definition, right? Is tapping on they're acupuncture points, really, or meridian points on the body. And it's literally tapping. You're tapping on yourself. I have been trained in a specific modality called EFT, or emotional freedom technique. And it was developed by Gary Craig, I think back in the 60s or 70s, to treat PTSD in soldiers. And it's a specific sequence of points that you're doing in that particular modality. You can use tapping. I mean, I think tapping in general, you can use it in different ways. You don't have to do the specific protocol that EFT uses, but that's what I'm trained in. And yeah, I agree, Jen. Like, it's so simple. It is so simple. And all you're doing is talking to yourself while you're tapping these points. And what it does is it helps you kind of facilitate and release a lot of stuck emotional energy. And it just, I mean, I don't know what else to say about it, because it is that simple. You go through the points, you tap on the points while you talk to yourself, and you just acknowledge how you're feeling. Even though I feel anxious because of this thing I have coming up, I accept where I am. So it's acknowledging that you feel a way, accepting that you feel that way, just being like, hey, I'm here. I feel this way. I'm acknowledging that I have this rather than trying to suppress it or ignore it. And yeah, it's pretty simple. And it can be powerful too, because as you're going through the tapping, as you're acknowledging these emotions and these beliefs, you can often get into pretty deep levels. You don't have to go there, but things can come up, because it's getting into your subconscious mind. So you're starting to peel away layers and uncover, okay, maybe I have this feeling about this thing right now because I actually have this belief that I'm not, I don't know, good at public speaking, because in 4th grade, I had this experience with my teacher and they said this thing and it made me feel this way. Oh, well, now we have a memory we can work through. So then you tap through the memory and then you release that memory, and it's kind of this deep healing. But I'll tell you what, I've been in therapy before, and tapping has helped me through so many issues within a matter of days that I spent years in therapy trying to overcome.
Because the body remembers, right? The body remembers and it holds that.
Does it have more to do with the plexus point, the plexus areas, or like, in other words, branching out from the chakras where the interconnections? Is that it, or is it? Are there different?
Jesse, I don't know that there's a direct correlation between the chakra system and the meridian points that you're tapping on. There very well could be, because you start with the crown. Well, some people, you can start here. I like to start with the top of the head, because to me it kind of opens the crown chakra. So
yeah, right.
Just from my other touches into, I don't know, other systems, I kind of naturally, I don't know, I feel like you do that in this space, right? You start to learn about all these different systems, and then you kind of naturally start to integrate them or see the relationship between them, right? Officially, EFT, I don't think really equates the meridian tapping points specifically with the chakras. But yeah, like there's the top of the head, or what I would say the crown. There's this point here, which maybe you could say that's third eye. I don't know.
Right.
Then there's like the side here, on the temples, this bone underneath the eyes, this point under the nose and between the nose and the upper lip. You've got this crease of the chin here, and then you've got this chest. Well, it's not really your chest; it's kind of a couple inches below the collarbone.
Isn't that like this? Is that the solar plexus? I'm not.
No, that's lower. The solar plexus is lower.
Yeah,
I'm not.
Maybe this could be considered heart. I don't.
Yeah, it feels like it would be heart.
Different, but and then there's this point here that's kind of a few inches under your armpit, a few inches down from your armpit. For women, it would be where your bra strap is approximately. And there's this point here. There is also a point that is basically right under, essentially like right under where your boobs are. And it's an official tapping point within EFT, but it's not often used because it's considered a little awkward, especially if you're working with women.
Well, I think that's the solar plexus down there, right?
Possibly.
When you're getting closer to your belly button, that's more solar plexus.
Yeah, okay, right.
But there are other
You tell
tapping
I'm not
points.
Mr. Anatomy. I don't know. Yeah, as far as like where bones and things go, I don't know,
Yeah, but
But
there are other tapping points too that don't correspond with the chakras really at all. Like you can use your ankle as a tapping point.
Wow.
This is often used within EFT to, like, if someone's going into an abreaction. So that's when they are going into a memory and they feel as though they're actually there and their emotions get very, very intense, right? And you kind of have to gently bring them back to the present.
Yeah.
Often the ankle can be used as a way to kind of ground them back into the present.
Wow.
And then there's also, when you start tapping, it's on the side of the hand here. And then there's also this point here between the pinky and the ring. And then you can also tap on the sides of the fingers.
Well, when you were saying about how it did more for you very quickly than years of therapy, it's like a Sonicare. If anybody uses a Sonicare toothbrush, it's like the body remembers, and we're kind of loosening up what's calcified, and what's calcified sometimes in us around different parts of our body is trauma. It's memories, it's things that are kind of holding us back. And I feel like what you're saying, why you start with the crown, it's almost like you're settling into your human vessel. And then the ankle thing, I think a lot of people out there are maybe subconsciously doing things that comfort themselves throughout the day, either like tapping a foot or rolling their ankles, or like I will sometimes, if I'm feeling anxious, go like this with my toes. I'll like smoosh them together, and then I'll extend them out like they're little fingers, and do that over and over. And so I think that people are, maybe I think about my children when they were little ones, they would find ways to self-comfort. And very much so, the tapping feels like it reminds us to sink back into our bodies, that it's going to be okay. And it's kind of just reminding us. And I'm wondering, how did you learn about this technique, and where did you get your training?
So I honestly don't remember where or even when I first came across it, but I do know that for a few years, I was very casually sort of doing it on myself. And I was like, there's something here, because I was getting really into subconscious work and subconscious reprogramming, and kind of stumbled across this thing. I think I initially stumbled across it in the context of people doing it in a more of an affirmation type way. They'd stand in front of the mirror and tap themselves and say things that they want to believe about themselves. And to know that doesn't actually work very well from my training, what I understand, because you can't give yourself messages that you don't believe. Okay. Wow. You have to first clear the belief that if you want to say, I am a successful business person, do you actually believe that? Take an inventory, right? Give a percentage. What's the percentage I actually believe that statement? And if it's under 100%, you need to go back and say, why don't I believe this 100%? What is it I actually believe? Tap on that, clear the emotions around that. Then once that's resolved, and that doesn't feel true anymore, then you can start to incorporate the positive affirmation statements with the tapping, but it's honestly not going to do like anything for you. It might make you feel good for temporarily, but long term, it's not really going to settle anything in. So anyway, I was kind of experimenting with the tapping on my own. And then I just had this feeling I really wanted to incorporate. I was really into human design for a while. And I had this idea where you could incorporate tapping to, so in human design, there's this concept of the not self, where you're acting in kind of opposition to your design, or in a not self way. And it's a little different than a shadow concept, but I won't get into that. But I thought, well, maybe you could use tapping to help release some of these not self feelings, or this programming you've had around things. For example, I'm a manifesting generator. And so I'm always really interested in starting things, but I rarely finish because I lose interest very, very quickly. And there's a lot of guilt around that. Like, why can't I finish anything? Why can't I just start something at A and complete it at like Z? Why can't I go through the steps, and actually do something and complete it? And when I learned about human design, that archetype resonated so much with me because I was like, oh, this is how my whole life has been. And I've been fighting it, and I've been feeling terrible about myself because that's not how society tells you to be a successful person. And so, just as an example, maybe I could use tapping to release some of that guilt I have around this natural way of being. And I just thought, there's more to this. And I started researching, and I came across EFT. And then quickly realized shortly after that there's EFT International, which is an official organization. And there are classes you can sign up for and take and get certified in. And a lot of therapists use EFT in conjunction with their practice. You don't have to be a therapist to use EFT, but it's becoming, I think, more mainstream and accepted. And so there's a whole certification process you can go through to to kind of become official in tapping. And so I completed EFT level 1, EFT level 2, and was working toward my accreditation. And in a crazy turn of events, and this can actually kind of segue into bird messages, believe it or not. But I was logging so in order to get your certification after completing level 2, you have to log at least 50 client hours or 50 sessions, and which includes 4 case studies. And so it's kind of like a rigorous thing you've got to do.
Yeah, it sounds rigorous.
And I was on my way through that. And admittedly, I'm sort of terrible at when you're doing the sessions, I'm like keeping notes on the side on paper, because you want to repeat your client's words back to them exactly when you're facilitating the tapping. You don't want it to be your language. You want it to be their language. And so I keep all these notes, keep track of their intensity levels and everything. And then I would log this in my spreadsheet, try to summarize it for the certification process. But admittedly, I was really terrible at keeping up with logging all of my paper. So I'd have this, this stack of paper that I hadn't yet transferred to the computer. And one day I was just like, you know what? I'm just going to sit down. I'm going to knock it out. Holed up in a coffee shop. I was having some issues. I couldn't connect to the internet, but I was like, oh, it'll save to the hard drive. And then I did that. I caught all my notes up, and then I kind of went about my life and kept accumulating more client sessions and more notes on the side that I belatedly would try to enter. And I guess it was probably about 3 weeks ago at this point, I realized that time I sat down in the coffee shop to put in all those notes, that backlog of sessions, it didn't save. And I have the file, but it's really outdated. I don't have, and my deadline was to apply for the certification with all of my case studies and everything was 2 days ago. And I was just like, there's no way I'm going to make this deadline. I can't do it. I lost and I threw away all the papers. Like I burned them because because I was done.
Oh,
done with my computer. They were, and I don't mind retaking EFT level 2. That's what I'll have to do is I'll have to retake the class. But the most painful part are the case studies that I lost, because that's a big write-up, right? And then also all of the sessions I've done will not count. I'll have to retake the class, and then I'll have to start over from client session 1 and log, 50 more hours. And so I kind of went through all the feelings like, oh my God.
Yeah.
As you can see, Jen, we have another published author in our midst because we've all been there.
We have. Totally.
And as we segue into birds, again, Madia is a published author. She wrote a book about birds.
I did. I wrote a book on how to take care of geese, which is kind of a thing. And I can talk about that a bit too. But I was going to say, in the midst of all this sort of trauma around losing
Yeah, it
all
is
of my
trauma.
work,
Huge trauma.
I started. So for a while now, I've kind of been noticing woodpeckers a lot, which is tapping. They're tappers, right?
I literally was going to segue into birds with woodpeckers. And
Oh,
that's
really?
the very
Oh, no
first
way.
bird I saw yesterday when I
Nice.
started logging them.
I see one at least 3 times a day.
Nice.
So, yeah.
So please go
Yeah.
ahead. You've got the floor, but we're mind blown
Yeah.
right now.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah. So, and I'll back up a little bit because I'm actually going to first talk about the nuthatch, which is related to the woodpecker. They're, at least according to Ted Andrews. I don't know if you're familiar with his Animal Speak book, but highly recommend this for.
Oh, Jenn, that looks like you're kind of jam
I have,
right there.
again,
You gotta get one of those.
Yeah, I get it. It's great. So I went into our mudroom just in time to see a bird that was trapped in the mudroom. It had flown in and couldn't figure out how to get out, and it smacked into the window, right? And I immediately ran over and I picked it up and I took it outside because I was like, well, I don't want it to come to in the mudroom and then try and get out and hit itself on the window again.
Right.
I want it to be outside. And a lot of time birds are okay once they hit the window. They kind of go through the stunned phase, and then so if you can just keep them safe while they regain their composure.
Don't hurry to bury them is all I'm telling the public. Don't hurry to bury them. Give them a chance. Put them in shade where they're safe. Yeah.
Yeah. So I had this bird in my hand, and I took it outside to one of the trees we had nearby, and I was hoping it would just kind of kind of perch on the tree or find a way, but it was too stunned. It just kind of stayed in my hands. I thought, you know what? That's fine. We're gonna chill here for a bit, and we're just and it was panting and it didn't look so good. And it took a while, but then all of a sudden it's really interesting because it sounds like you've seen this before, Jenn, but it's like this light switch. They're not okay. And then all of a sudden they're perked up and they're like, oh, I'm still here. I'm still alive. And so it kind of brushed my hair. And then it flew back toward the tree, landed in the tree, and just kind of looked at me for a while. And I looked at it. And then immediately, of course, I go into my house to see what kind of bird it was, because even though I know about birds, I mean, there's so many birds. I'm not a birder by any means. There are probably people out there that are really into bird watching that know way more about types and calls and all those things than I do. So I still have to look stuff up. So I went and I looked it up. And so it turns out it was a nuthatch, and it's related to the woodpecker. And it's according to Ted Andrew, it symbolizes a grounding of and also higher wisdom. So it's a really good, in terms of a totem animal, it's a really good animal for a lot of psychics or people that do sort of this higher level liminal space work to help ground themselves, to help them get back into material reality and realize that the physical is really important too. We are physical creatures.
Yeah.
And that is why, we're here to experience physical reality. And it's important to take care of yourself, to take care of your body, to take care of the environment around you. You can't always be floating into ethereal spaces, right? So it's a really good bird for that. But it also says, let's see, it's a traveling companion to the woodpecker. It has a very similar beak. It's kind of long and pointed. It gets bugs out of trees. And it says, as new rhythms are sounded out, the nuthatch works to bring them down out of ethereal realms and ground them into physical life. Anyone with a nuthatch as a totem should also study the woodpecker and vice versa. And then the next day, and this is kind of sad, but I walk out the front door and there's 2 wings and a partial torso of a nuthatch right in front of my door, which unfortunately I think one of our cats got it. I try my best to keep them inside as much as I can. I have bells on them, but they still get burnt sometimes. And immediately I felt this like just kind of devastation. I was like, oh man, I hope that wasn't the one I saved. I mean, not that it's a death either way, right? But
Yeah.
kind of struggled with this. What's the symbolism of the disembodied wings in front of my door? And and then shortly after, actually saw another nuthatch just kind of merrily pecking its way down a tree trunk in our front yard. They tend to go head first down the trees, so that's a way to kind of identify them, I guess. But anyway, between the bird in the mudroom that I saved and then the wings in front of my door, and then just kind of noticing them more often, I decided I kind of needed to pay attention to it. And it reminded me to go back to woodpecker, right?
Yeah. That's right. Exactly. Because they're companions.
Right. And there are a lot of animals like that where you have one and it's good to look up another.
Yeah.
But let me just pull up woodpecker here. Woodpeckers, I know, are the tapping just timely, but because of their tapping, they have a lot to do with rhythm and drumming, right? And you can even
that makes
shamanic
sense.
drumming.
Yes.
What does shamanic drumming do? It takes you into your subconscious, right?
Mhm.
That sort of,
Right.
again, similar to tapping. I mean, we're kind of, all these things are related to each other. You've got the beat of the drum and the drumming shamanic systems that take you into your subconscious in order to go on this spiritual journey into liminal spaces, right? And then you have physical tapping that kind of helps you move through more physical processes. Woodpeckers often consider a weather prophet in European folk tradition.
That's interesting
Where
too.
its tapping kind of forecasts almost like a thunderbird, right? You can think of them as a type of thunderbird. We tend to think of thunderbirds as being more eagles or hawks, or in my opinion, I always think of vultures because they ride the what are they called?
The wind currents.
Yeah, the wind currents. Before a storm, you can see them circling. And in a Native American tradition, the tapping is considered to be the heartbeat of the earth itself.
Wow.
And so this is
amazing.
from Ted Andrews, so I'm not going to take credit for this, but he asks these questions when you see woodpecker come into your life. It says, if woodpecker has drummed out a song for you, then you should ask yourself some specific questions. Are you looking at aspects of your life rationally? Are others around you not discriminating in their activities? Are you or others in your life just jumping into situations with little or no analysis? Sometimes the woodpecker will show up to stimulate new rhythms. Rhythm is a powerful means for affecting physical energies. It's easy to get wrapped up in our daily mental and spiritual activities that we neglect the physical. Again, that's kind of same as the catch, right? And so sometimes when we're wrapped up in that more ethereal realm, woodpecker will show up to remind us that we've neglected the physical. But yeah, about the rhythm, just like I think of a woodpecker, like the rhythms of life. Yeah, that heartbeat of the earth, like very grounded. You're kind of getting into the rhythm of the physical material reality and paying attention to that.
Well, staying with that, what I thought about immediately when you were when you were talking about the tapping and like that, how that is like you're connecting to your body. And for instance, if you think about it, when the woodpecker is tapping on a tree, okay, they've identified how all the trees are interconnected with each other through their root systems and they're vast, you know what I mean? And now just recently, like I read the article like a week ago or something, that there's also like a huge underground fungal like network that runs along with that. So
Yep.
as you tap on yourself, your body, you know what I mean? They're tapping on the tree, and the tree is connected to the whole earth in a way, if you think about it, you know? So
Oh,
it's
that's so
kind of
cool.
like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
that's theory.
When
head.
it's doing that, it's shaking loose stuff. It's an alert system of like, I'm here. It's like a warning system, but it's also a shaking loose. And if people out there, because I feel like I need to mention this because it keeps happening to me, the woodpecker came forward with me when I started getting into a cycle of like, maybe I would dip a toe in the news or current events and I would forget that it's not real. Don't believe the mainstream stuff because none of it's real. And I would get caught up in that instead of into all the stuff that actually matters. And when I was trying to break that habit, it was woodpecker that would go tap, 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 tap really loud on my, like the flue to my chimney, and it would echo throughout the house and it would just like startle me. Or yesterday, me and Jesse were in a text thread and I was like exercising, and right there on the side of my house, the woodpecker came and was like tapping on the eave really loud. And I went, he needs that too. And so I made him a personal podcast where I put it all on blast of like, I know this because I went through this, but woodpecker wakes me up and gets me out of something that's toxic is what
Yeah.
Jen calls
you-
it a text thread, but it was really an intervention where she was talking me off the ledge about that stuff because I let it get in my I
can't lose another beloved friend
I let
to
it
that
get into
stuff.
my head sometimes.
I just
and
can't.
like
Yeah.
and then I was like, okay, I'm getting off I'm going outside, and then it had just stormed a little bit, and then like what's out? All the woodpeckers. All
Yeah.
over the
I'm saying
place.
find your new rhythm. Find a new,
Yeah, right?
You have a new thing going. Yeah.
You
I
know,
believe
the
what
other
you-
thing that
what you're doing.
resonates with me is like, Jesse, with your explanation of reminding people of the fungal world underneath our feet and how it's connected to the trees. So as above, so below kind of thing. You know, what do some people say? They say touch when you're kind of feeling spun out, touch grass or hug a tree. I mean, woodpecker is saying tap on a tree. I mean, what a powerful magic that is. Go out and hug a tree and maybe give it a little wrap and find a new rhythm.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that idea.
I do
And you have to
too.
connect to the earth. You know what I mean? When
Yeah.
you were talking about doing a tapping on yourself and talking about like the ankles are a point for that and stuff.
Yes.
I'm like, that's where that's where we're supposed to connect to, like when they literally tell you like you need to go outside and touch grass. Like that's that's what you're supposed to be, supposed to go
Totally.
out and like literally like touch grass and that's your fit, and so
Yeah. Wow. Oh, a woodpecker just keeps on delivering. I wanted to ask you because I saw a ton of mourning doves yesterday. Is there anything about mourning doves? Because they seem ominous with their name, mourning dove, but I've been seeing a lot of them lately, which has been really interesting. But I don't want to overlay any symbolism to them because I just don't know.
I have two that are paired up and just always in my yard. You know
I
what
have
I mean?
two
So, yeah.
also lately, and then I've had a third that has joined the group, and I don't know anything about them.
I get cardinals, the occasional
Ooh.
blue jay, and and woodpeckers now are back and
What about
everywhere.
Jesse? Do you get magpies in East Texas? Because
Yeah,
we get lots of magpies. up
They
here.
look like crows, but we call them. They call them Texas cowbirds.
Oh, I love that name.
They're like little miniature crows. But yeah, they like to eat all the food that I put out. So
Wow.
because I'm old now and like that's what I do. I go
That's
out
what I
and
do
like,
too.
I bitch about the world and I like throw I'm like, here, birds.
Don't give them toxic feed. What you need to say, I love you. Here's my energy. Here's my blessing, and then give it to them.
Oh no, I mean I'm not really doing that. I'm just making a joke about being the old man
I
on
know.
his porch, like get off my
I
lawn.
know, because
Yeah.
I know it's not true.
Yeah.
So, Madia, what do you know about mourning doves?
So off the top of my head, I don't know really anything.
Yeah.
And again, I'm referring to Ted Andrews' Animal Speak book because he has a whole section on there on birds, and the dove is in there. So, yeah, highly recommend the book just as a
Yeah,
reference anytime
I will have
something
it in the
shows
show
up.
notes for sure.
Yeah. So
And it'll be sitting on our dining room table in like a
In
week.
like 3 days.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm going to go to my witchy store in Denver.
Right.
yeah, so it's it's symbol maternity, peace, prophecy, feminine energy, definitely. To the Pueblo Indians, and we're on ancient Puebloan land here, that mournful song, that mourning song, is considered an invocation to water. And this is interesting, an indication to men where water could be found. But the ancient symbol for the maternal is always that connection to the water as well.
Yeah.
So its song actually signified water holes or springs, which that's super interesting to me.
That is so interesting.
Oh wow! Because like you're not like, and you're not saying that you're like some expert on like every bird, but like
definitely not.
but like the Madia, I think Madia, your main thing is water birds, right? Like it was geese and stuff and ducks that like kind of like you found an egg, right?
Yeah. Yep. That's how my whole journey.
Jen, this is gonna freak you out. Here it comes. All right.
Okay.
Yeah. So, you're gonna love
I'm already like so smitten. I just love this conversation. And Madia, I already love your energy, but okay, I'm gonna sit back. Tell me about the egg.
So this whole journey begins as it does with an egg. All of creation, the universe began with an egg, right? The great cosmic egg. So this is my own little cosmic egg story. And I've actually written 2 parts on Substack about the cosmic egg. I decided I wanted to like go into delving into all this different mythology around the cosmic age, because every culture, every mythology has something around an egg at the beginning of time. And that's very interesting to me. Anyway, I've only written 2 parts because whenever I say I'm going to do a series, I immediately start to lose interest, or it feels like a huge burden. I'm like, oh my gosh,
a trilogy.
Welcome to my world. Stop telling yourself that things are a series and like you'll write all of it.
Same. I know. It's like, oh, it's
like,
not
yeah, I'm done writing about these birds this time and these eggs, these cosmic eggs, and then you'll write another one. Yeah. Part 1 something, like you're screwed. Like
you are. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Right. But if listeners are interested in reading this story,
just never forget that Hall & Oates put out their greatest hits album, Part 1, and there was never a Part 2.
Okay, that makes me feel
but you know,
I feel so much better too.
Rock and Soul, there was only Part 1. There was never a Part 2. So there you go. Even Hall & Oates gave up. So don't feel bad.
Okay, so my egg story. We had recently moved from the Front Range area, that's Denver, Boulder area in Colorado. I know you're familiar with that.
That's where I'm at right now.
Yeah. Down to the southwest corner of Colorado, Four Corners area. So we'd recently moved here, acquired this property. We have a pond, and we were up at this pond in April. I remember it was still kind of cold, and my husband sees something on the shore. The water was pretty low because we were coming out of winter and everything. And just on the silty bank, there's this lone egg sitting there. And my husband got very excited. And it wasn't in a nest. It wasn't, no duck, no birds around. Just out there in the elements, out in the open. My husband gets excited and he goes and collects his egg, and he kind of cradles it close to his torso, and he comes over and he shows me, he's like, look what I found. And I was like, cool, an egg. Oh my God, I was so and he's like, I think we should keep it warm. I said, you think that's gonna hatch? I was so incredulous. He goes, yeah, we need to keep it warm. And he gave me this egg to keep warm while he goes down to the local farm store to get an incubator. And this whole time I'm thinking, this is not going to hatch, but I will indulge my husband because this is adorable.
You're literally at the very first part of the hero's journey. You're not supposed to be all on board yet. You know,
No.
you're at the call to adventure. Okay.
Exactly.
So, yes.
And I was not a bird person at this time. I mean, I didn't know anything about anything really. Anyway, to make kind of a long story short, we ended up incubating this egg. You know, we looked up how to rotate the egg and what percentage humidity to set it at and all these things. And lo and behold, 28 days later, well, I'll back up a little bit. So you can candle eggs, right? Which is essentially not actually using a candle. You use the flashlight to kind of shine through the eggs. So you can see what's happening inside, which is its own fascinating. Because you start, so the first thing you start to see is this network of veins. And then you start to see a heartbeat. And it's like the most, like it's the craziest thing. I mean, if you ever want to be just renew your wonder about life, I'm not saying go hatch an egg because we want to be responsible. Like that egg will hatch into a living creature, like, and you should take care of it. But if you ever have the opportunity to even look up some images of the inside of an egg or videos of people candling eggs and seeing the process of the development inside the egg, it's fascinating. And so that was a whole sort of journey in itself, this sort of miracle of just watching this heartbeat. And then after a while, it develops so much that you can't really see anything anymore because the egg is full, right? It's full of bone and tissue and like all the things, right? And anyway, lo and behold, 28 days later, this egg hatches and out comes this fuzzy little bird, waterfowl, you know, little black webbed feet and a cute little, you know, fuzzy, downy feathers. And we still didn't know anything about birds, so we thought it was a goose. Because we had 2 Canada geese up by our pond that were there all the time. And we saw ducks occasionally, but they didn't really hang around. And so we just sort of leapt to the conclusion that maybe it was, and I had a mallard duck egg is so much smaller than a Canada goose egg. It blows my mind that we even.
But you didn't know.
We didn't know. We didn't know.
What you don't know.
Yeah.
But it's funny looking back on it, given now that I've written a book about caring for geese and like have become a sort of unofficial waterfowl expert. It's really funny to think back, 7-8 years ago when this started. Anyway, it took us about 3 days to finally just search for, what does a Canada gosling look like versus what does a baby mallard look like? And we realized we had a baby mallard. And also learned very quickly that even though he had imprinted on us, they really need a lot of attention and they really need other birds. So we got him a couple other duckling friends, and with the understanding that we named him Tiger. It was just a really special experience because he was so attached to us. He'd follow us everywhere. We'd make him little baths in the sink in the bathtub, sprinkled with bits of clover and, all the things that the ducks like to eat. But he was, we kept him safe while he was developing, but he's wild. So he was always free to go. We never intended to keep him. And once he got his wings, he would take flights around and eventually he would spend kind of longer and longer away from the property until one day, maybe 4 or 5 years into keeping him, he just never came back. And unfortunately, I kind of feel like that maybe means he's crossed the Rainbow Bridge, but I like to think maybe he's just found a mallard girlfriend somewhere that prefers to have her nest at a different location than our property. But anyway, this finding of the egg and this hatching of this little duckling really just started this journey with.
Yeah, I bet.
So
wow.
It allowed me
literally gave birth to this new part of your life.
Yeah.
Wow.
And
if you're a curious person, a spiritual person, and into like, all of the things that like we're interested in, like how could you not go down that to pick another animal, that rabbit hole, that duck hole? How could you not go down that duck hole to figure out about ducks,
So true.
Yeah. And, it still took me a while to get into the spiritual aspect of birds. I started keeping geese. We have a apple orchard, and I wanted an animal that was really gentle to kind of help clean up under the trees and graze. And so because we had this positive experience with this duck, I decided to try out some geese, and ended up being kind of known for geese, very unintentionally, just through Instagram and sort of various connections and locally, and yeah.
Because who doesn't want to suddenly become the goose lady? You know what I mean? On Instagram.
Mother Goose.
I mean,
the new Mother Goose.
I'd be cool with that if everybody's like, he's the goose lady. Yeah, I'd be all right, cool.
And geese are kind of stigmatized. People say they're so mean or something. And I'm like, you get what you give. I feel like if you're expecting that, if you approach a goose with fear and anxiety, they feel that. It bothers me, people stigmatizing geese as certain ways.
Well, the thing to understand about geese, even wild geese, this goes for both wild geese and domestic geese, is that they are extremely protective and family oriented. So when a goose is acting aggressive toward you, it's because they're protecting their flock. And it's not because they're mean, it's because they're protective. They're very, very, geese are very family oriented. They're very flock oriented. In fact, when our geese would hatch out, goslings, it wasn't just the two parents that watched after them. The whole flock would surround these goslings and protect them. And so they're very protective creatures. And even the ones I raised by hand that liked me, they would get not happy when I got too close to their offspring, right? Or, during the spring season when the ganders, that's male geese, would get a little more hormonal and testy, and it's really tempting to just kind of write them off and be like, oh, they're so mean. But when you understand that they have this just such a strong protective drive and this loyalty, this attachment to their mate. Most geese will mate for life, especially Canada geese. Domestic geese, they'll definitely stay together for a season. Some stay together for lifetime, but it just varies. It's not, there's not a rule around that with domestics. But anyway, they're very loyal. And so, I would just say to people out in the park, if you see wild geese and they seem a little aggressive, just know that it's not because they're trying to be mean. It's because you've gotten a little too close. And if you see the way people interact with geese at the pond, they're not nice. They let their children chase them.
I know.
They get harassed. It's not, they've learned to not trust a lot of us very well,
Yes.
We have wild Canada geese here at our property, and they are very friendly. I mean, they don't come up and let me pet them. They're wary, but they're fine.
I think that people, go ahead, Jesse.
We're probably about to say the same thing. Is that I think people have lost sight that it's us going into their world and inserting ourselves into their world. We don't. Okay, we're the smartest monkeys. Great.
No, we're not. But whatever. But people think that.
You know what I mean? But I mean, but we're still just other animals. And we're supposed to be coexisting with nature and not consistently we can just go wherever and do whatever we want to. And it's. I think people, like you said, I think that you push that energy in, and then they're gonna react as they're supposed to react.
Well,
because you're a threat.
And also, I was gonna say something similar, but it's different. It's like the tap root of that issue is that people need to be responsible for their energies. You need to own your energy and what you're bringing out there in every instance, whether it's with a goose, whether it's with a deer on the hiking trail, whether it's with your fellow human at the grocery store or whatever. I think that at some point, people feel like they don't have to be responsible for their own energy. And actually you do. If people could take responsibility for their own energy and what they're putting out there and what they're taking, then maybe we would have a little more peaceful existence with everything, with plants, with animals, with each other. It's a very simple thing, but I think that people have kind of forgotten or lost sight of it or are ignoring it. So
how many videos are out there of dumb people who get too close to animals trying to take a selfie? You know what I mean? And
exactly.
What do you expect's about to happen? It's coexist. And
completely agree.
Quit taking so many dumb selfies.
No kidding. And also feeling like you're some apex predator. Oh my God, we are not the be all and end all. We're not. We're also stewards of the planet. We just happen to be the loudest megaphone often, and that's not a good thing. So I always find it when I'm on the hiking trail, I always find it as the best compliment of what my energy is like I'm trying to be really immersed in the place that I'm at and tread gently. And when I will be on a trail, I will have a deer that sees me and I forget, but I'm always singing or humming to whatever I'm listening to with one earbud. And it will be coming close to me like, hello, I see you. And I'm like, I love you. I'm sending you love. I hope you find good sustenance on the mountain. And it's coming over to me. And then you'll see it like a mountain biker thunder through. And then the deer stays still and doesn't go anywhere. But I always find it as a compliment of like, I'm checking my energy often, that I am in harmony with what I'm out there experiencing. If it's not changing me, why am I out there hiking then? It's supposed to be that I'm changing the rhythm of my own life by going out on the trail. So
yeah, absolutely.
I get so mad when people are like doing the opposite. It's like,
well, there's nothing, being out in nature can be so humbling too, right? It's a great way to check yourself, your that idea that we have that we're this apex creature on the planet when we're just not. I mean, all you have to do is climb up a mountain a little ways and be caught in a mountain thunderstorm to realize that the earth does not give a shit about you.
Exactly.
The lightning does not care that you can use social media. You know what I mean? Like
you're not an apex predator, Ken and Karen. You live in a gated community. Okay.
Totally.
Yeah. Well, and not even to mention the elementals that are out there that are so much more powerful than us. They're you
have to see the manager when you go get a smoothie because they don't put enough raspberries on top. You're not a fucking apex predator.
You're not.
Back up.
Absolutely not.
No, or stare down a mountain lion or a bear and realize that you don't.
Nope.
Yeah,
you're nothing.
You're nothing. Are you familiar with the demon turkey called the tetrajib?
I am not. Although I've been wanting. I saw it pop up a few times on Substack, and I need. I need to listen to this.
Bosnian evil turkey. So yes.
I swear I have seen this gigantic. Jesse, you disappeared, so you touched your mouse.
Yeah, but
I have seen this gigantic pigeon on the trails in certain parts of like Golden, Lakewood. I point behind me because it's right there. But I've seen these gigantic, they're like emperor pigeons or something. I've seen them in Florida and I've seen them a few times here too. And it always surprises me. It's like, you're so gigantic. And it reminds me of that bird that you're so scared of, Jesse.
I mean, have you heard Anna Maria tell the stories of being attacked by the tetrajib? It's horrifying.
No joke.
It's horrifying.
Yeah, it's no joke. We are so small. Okay, I'm looking at the clock because we made a vow to you, Madia, that we would let you shake loose in an hour. So, going back to your EFT skills and the bird scrying skills, where do you want our listeners to find you? And are you doing sessions? Do you do them physically in person? Do you do anything remote? Where can they find your book and your Substack and all that good stuff?
Right now, probably the best way to find me is on Substack, and I can give you my links, and maybe I can link to a couple pertinent, because I have a lot of art. Oh, my whole Substack is on birds and myths, so it's all about birds. But there are a few specific articles that are specifically about bird divination, using birds in ornithomancy, or as our friend Sam likes to say, birdomancy, which
yeah. Sam did coin the term birdomancy the other night, which I mean, it is definitely, yeah. But yes, please send us any link.
You'll just have to come back.
Oh, well, I would love to anytime. We can do
welcome.
birds part 2 or whatever.
Yes.
I know Jenn, we learned so much today.
No,
I mean,
I'm so excited to commune with nature right now. I actually want to go out and try to find some garbage on the trail.
Just don't call this part 1 or there won't be a part 2.
That's right.
You can't.
Exactly. This is we did this.
That's our new rule.
Never happening ever again. So yeah.
Well, we love you and thank you for coming by for a really long form visit. And really, we cannot wait to have you back already.
Yay,
yeah, this was
thank
awesome.
You so much. Yeah,
have
we
the
love
best
talking
day.
with you guys. Oh, you too. Thank you.
Love you so much. Bye.
Bye, Madia.
Bye.
Hey, you. Yes, you. Are you looking for a new podcast that appeals to your scientific curiosity, but is also a little bit spooky?
Show me how I died in a past life.
Well, look no further, because this cat is where it's at.
He had concerns about the ethics surrounding AI, feeling they had achieved consciousness.
Curious Cat Podcast examines the shadowy space where science and the supernatural collide. Listen every week with your host, Jennifer Holtz, as she and her guests explore what it means to be a soul in a meat suit.
We were healing karma together. They were all kind of predestined to resolve something.
Listen on all your favorite streaming apps and continue the conversation on Twitter at CuriousCatPodCA, or find Jennifer and all her links at Jennifer L. Holtz, spelled HOTES.com.